Throughout the world, Scotland is famous for its scenery, for its lochs, its glens and its hills, and it attracts tourists from all walks of life. It's easy to imagine how much this scenery will change, however, if the planned wind farms, scheduled to be built over the next few years, start appearing in sensitive areas. And with the wind farms, of course, will come the pylons, scheduled to be twice the height of the Wallace Monument to carry the electricity. And there will be hundreds of them. Feelings amongst a section of the public are running high about this. The Scottish Parliament has agreed that 18% of electricity generated in Scotland will come from renewable sources by the end of this decade, and 40% by 2020. Estate owners are falling over themselves offering their land for wind farms because of the massive rentals they can charge. Little concern seems to have been paid to the disruption that will be caused, because each windmill requires 5,000 tonnes of cement to secure it in place. And of course, roads will be required to be made into the areas chosen. It'll take one windmill 5 years working flat out, 24 hours a day, to generate the amount of energy used to build it. And of course, they don't work at that rate. They're notoriously inefficient and operate only a small percentage of the time. Those in favour of this form of energy generation state that they're only looking to the future, and that the introduction of windmills is a big step in the battle against global warming, and wind power won't create any pollution. Sites will be chosen very selectively, in places which will offend least, if in time at all. And that other countries are already operating wind power very successfully. Businessmen, however, still shake their heads in disbelief. Scotland's income from the tourist industry coming from Europe was up by 67% in 2005, and they fear for the future. They say the advantages and disadvantages of both nuclear and wave power should be examined closely before any steps are taken. There are nuclear power stations all over the world, as you can see from the slides going through the picture here. Scotland has two, which currently produce 40% of the electricity the country uses. But they're due for decommissioning in 5 years' time, and at present there are no plans for any replacements. Whilst it is very efficient and extremely economic, people have grave doubts about the safety of nuclear power. Those in favour of this medium state that it is the press that always exaggerates any problem with it, and that it is an extremely clean and safe method of generating electricity. They're quite right in a way, because there have been remarkably few problems with leakages, and it does have these two magic words in its favour: economy and efficiency. France and Germany generate the majority of their electricity needs by nuclear power, and feel there is little danger left nowadays. But what about nuclear waste? Scotland alone has already produced enough to fill the Usher Hall over 10 times. With all those ifs and buts though, there is no doubt that nuclear power is by far the cheapest and most economic way that we could produce electricity. But there again, who can forget Chernobyl? The tide comes in and the tide goes out twice a day. That's a basic fact of nature. Experimentation with wave power has been ongoing for years, and would appear to be the simplest and most efficient way of generating electricity to almost everyone. But there's more to it than meets the eye. To generate efficient and economic wave power requires a wave variation of 20 feet in height, and there are very few places in Scotland where that exists on a permanent basis, close to the shore. To be able to get that 20-foot variation in wave height would mean placing the floats which generate the electricity very far out at sea, and that would make the cost of bringing the electricity ashore prohibitive. Maintenance, security and shipping could also be a hazard as well. A lot of different experiments are being carried on currently much closer inshore by very many countries. No one has successfully managed to harness wave power yet, but that success cannot now be far away. So what's the future going to be? Wind power, along with the hideous pylons? Nuclear power? Efficient and economic, but is it safe? Or wave power? Out of everyone's reach, expensive, but the ultimate goal. It's a really tough decision, but somebody's going to have to make it.